Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today, we just got done checking out some Smashing Pumpkins. We're going to be moving into some special selections, which is where one of you tell me exactly what I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Christopher. It says, Oh Brother, Bloodlines, the Audiotree live version. The last song you checked out from them was from the most recent album in 2020 that they released independently, and that one was called Leave Me Out, I think it was. And if I remember correctly, it was like post-rock, post-metal, kind of had like a creepy, ominous vibe to it, and I think I really dug it. I don't remember. It says that they released that one in 2020, and it was released independently. This song is from the album prior to that one in 2016 when they were signed to Triple Crown Records. So that's what we're going to check out today. We got some Oh Brother, Bloodlines. And yeah, let's dive into this. Bass is punching through. I said that bass was punching through, but I don't see a bass. I see three guitars right here. Oh, there's the bass. All right. Yeah, it's just like the other one. Definitely a very wall of sounds, larger than life kind of vibe, and a bit creepy. I wonder what's on his phone there. Instinctively, I really want ghost notes here, and I'm kind of glad that the drummer did it. Dude, the drastic change in the vocal delivery here is wild. within the uncomfortableness as well. Oh, it's over. It looked like the drummer was getting ready to do some tom and cross stick stuff, and I thought we were going to go into a new section, but we're not. Okay. So yeah, interesting thing. It reminds me a lot of Radiohead's "Creep," and I don't know if it's just because of some of the vibes, or if there is actually some musical homages to it. But yeah, just at least on a surface level, I'm getting some Creep vibes here. Um, but okay, so I think I have to go back and check out whatever that song was called. I said the last time. I don't remember. Let Me Out, I think is what I said. Anyways, the last Oh Brother track we checked out, I think I need to give them another listen, possibly even dive into some of their larger works because I absolutely love what they're doing here. I don't think it's something I would want to listen to all the time, assuming their music is like this, because I think this is 2 for 2 as far as music sounding similar, especially given the 4 year gap between these two tracks here. But they definitely do one thing very well. I don't know if it's the only thing they do well, but it is something they do very well, and that is making very palpable, sinister atmospheres. There is just something about the combination of guitar tones that they use to play these really heavy, slow, punchy sections. And it's dripping. It is heavy. There is weight to their playing, to the sound that they create. And that is only the musical aspect, what the instruments are doing. The vocals bring an entire other section to their performance that completely elevates it to the next level. And they in the 2 songs I've heard, they have this pocket that they can sit inside as far as atmospheric weight and tension and emotional palpability that they can just sit in there for an entire song, not really modify it too much, and at least for me, remain entertaining throughout the entirety of it. And like I said, part of that is just going to come from the expertise at which they craft their soundscapes. But additionally, the vocalist does a lot of work as far as maintaining fresh ideas throughout the track and keeping it interesting. First of all, we open up with those very eerie chords and the interesting vocal harmony. Now, what's interesting about it isn't so much the notes that they're using to create the dyads that they're playing. To me, what's interesting is the haunting element in the lead vocalist's ridiculously quick, narrow vibrato. Played against the almost straight no vibrato coming from the second vocalist, the backup vocalist at this point. It is very eerie to me having these two vibrato styles. If I mean the backup vocalist is not doing vibrato. It's not really a vibrato style. It's the absence of vibrato versus this ridiculously fast one. It almost sounds, and I'm not saying that this is the case. I think what is physically happening is that the vocalist has such extreme control over their vocals that they can create an emulation of this concept. But what it sounds like is almost somebody who's pushing their vocals to a limit that they can't keep their voice steady, and it's quavering, quivering, quavering. it's vibrating. They don't have the vocal strength to retain this note, and it's vibrating. It's creating inconsistencies in the note, and that's what it sounds like on top of somebody playing a rather straight note, just kind of holding it out rather than applying any vibrato or effects or any sort of modulation to it. Um, and yeah, it starts out kind of leaning into a bit of a chaotic element there in the first 10 seconds. Um, and that, I mean, it sets the stage so well for what comes ahead of it or comes after it. Um, and the vocalist kind of keeps this element for the first minute or so of this almost controlled, uncontrolling element. The vocals are extremely controlled. They're not cracking. They're not breaking. They're not. They're staying within a note. Maybe you might be dancing between two notes. There really isn't a lot of movement to the melodic phrasing that's going on in the vocals. So it's really staying between one, two, three notes, something like that, which just adds to that edge because as you're hearing in my speech, most people don't just sit on a note and speak monotonely. It's kind of boring when people just talk like this. It's not very natural at all. It's kind of unsettling when somebody just stares at you and speaks in the same manner, in the same voice, in the same rhythmic idea. It's more natural to be a bit more animated with your speech, to have inflections and change pitches. It's not musical, but it's just a more natural way that I think people speak, at least in my experience. I don't know about every culture in the world. Some cultures might actually be more monotonous, and if they were more characteristically emotive, I suppose, in their speech, it may be seen as culturally odd. It might be the opposite of what I'm used to with I don't even know if I could say Western culture, definitely American culture. Um, but yeah, so it's already adding a bit of edge of eeriness to this just because the vocals are so effortless. There's not a lot of energy behind them, and they're just kind of monotonous and just kind of just sitting there. And it's very creepy, and then it's mixing with the ambience. But we don't stay that way for too long, less than a minute or so, and we're moving into the first real big heavy section where he brings in the compressed vocals. I don't know if they are distorted cleans. I don't know if he breaks into a fry, but it is this gradual increase with I think the pitch might even be rising here, but definitely the amount of distortion that is being applied to the vocals. And we're getting this gradual buildup into that final, what I think is a fry. And it's just this gradual destruction. Obviously, I don't think it is an actual. I don't think he's actually harming his vocals. But if we look at compression as destruction of timbre, where you apply more compression and distortion on top of the note, and you lose some of the characteristic elements of the timbre, we can see this gradual destruction of his tone. And it fits so well with the rising energy, the rising tension into the big moment. All the instruments are coming in full blast. Yeah, it is just, they know how to capture an emotion and to keep an audience entertained and caught up in with what the story of the song is doing, musically at least. I have no idea what the words are about. Um, but to hear all these variations, we have his clean monotonous, we have his distorted clean, possibly a fry, we have some falsetto that comes in not long after that. Like I said, the vocalist is pulling a lot of weight as far as keeping the song interesting, as far as providing contrast. There's not a lot of contrast going on in the music. We don't hear, unlike so the music is kind of post-rocky, right? I think I mentioned that earlier when I talked about remembering the last time we checked that Oh Brother. There is this post-rock wall of sound, heavy distortion kind of idea going on here. And utilizing these slow, not slow, but long notes. hitting a note and really allowing it to ring out whole notes, maybe even some connected, tied together long notes. Multiple bars worth of allowing the single note to ring out in some cases. And like that, there's that post rock element, but unlike some of the post rock we've checked out in the past, there's not a lot of nuance going on in the musical element that's providing contrast on a phrase to phrase or bar to bar element. They really do just hit the note and let it ring out, and there's not much else going on. Even the drums I mentioned were a bit on the simpler side. One section I said that I particularly would have liked, or at least if I was there, I would have added ghost notes on the snare to that section, and the drummer didn't. And I praise them for it because I feel like it's just kind of a thing to do. It might be just a bias I have that I'm slipping into because a lot of music I listen to do use ghost notes in quieter sections, and I think it adds some characteristic to them. But also on the flip side, because it is becoming more and more common, to hear them not being implemented also adds characteristic. So that's interesting too. But yeah, so it also works well within what they're going for. I mentioned the music is more simple. It makes sense for the rhythmic aspect and the drums to be simple as well. And I think the simplicity also adds to the eeriness. There is no complexity to this. This is just creepy. It's not creepy because that there's some humanizing backstory to the thing that's creepy in this aspect. Assuming, if you take this into a different medium and look at it in the idea of it might being a theme for a villain type character, we're not humanizing them. They are simple. This is 2D characterization of eeriness. And keeping it simple actually adds to that rather than adding complexity, which I think would remove some elements from the track that imply the unease that they're going for. So yeah, it all just really comes together in the end, and they're so good at it. There is one point of variation that I do want to bring up. I think it was masterfully used, and it was used very sparingly. One time, maybe 16 bars tops, and it was the tremolo picking, the higher pitched tremolo picking on the guitar. A little bit further up on the neck, might have been the fourth or fifth string. But yeah, very sparingly used for just a quick moment, and I think it adds just enough tension to the section without really providing any sort of levity to it, because a lot of this song is really hammering home weight and depth and hitting these lower notes and allowing them to really hang in the air. And the vocalist is the only one really bringing in any higher pitched stuff, and they're doing so with vocal modulation that increases the tension of the situation. Whereas the guitar was just tremolo picking. There wasn't really anything intrinsically about it outside of the note choices that were adding tension. So I think it made a lot of sense to use it as a small point of contrast and then to remove it rather than to allow it to sit there for a while and detract from the atmosphere that they've been building. Yeah, just really great all around. Like I said, this is the second Oh Brother track that I have enjoyed quite a bit, and makes me want to dive into some of their works. Again, it is heavy, very atmospheric, not something I'm always going to be in the mood for, but right now I am, so I think I got to jump on this opportunity and dive into, I guess, either their 2016 or their 2020 album and see if it hits me while I'm in the mood for it. Anyways, this is where you guys come in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this one or not. If there's anything about it that particularly stood out to you, or maybe that I didn't touch on, that you think needs to be talked about. When you're done commenting, you can head up to the description box, and there's a link for Linktree. It'll take you to this menu right here. From here, you can access my Twitter, the Discord, Patreon, merch, special selections if you want to submit your own. The button's like right there. My finger was hidden for a second. All sorts of stuff. It's all in there. Above the description box, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three things help out my channel immensely. All right, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC. We'll be looking at another alternative rock track. And I think, if I remember correctly on the spreadsheet, we have another Oh Brother reaction tomorrow. So I think I'm actually going to hold off on an album dive today. Hope I'm still in the mood for it tomorrow. I'm going to check that one out first and then dive into an album. All right, until next time, remember to be critical but not cynical of the music you listen to. And remember to be critical and not cynical. And have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.